Latte Wellness Group. I've been a therapist now for a little over 3 years, and I just love helping people to grow and develop and overcome their challenges. In my prior life, prior to counseling, I was in the fire department and just loved that career and learned a lot and retired last year. And I also retired last year from the DC court system as a mediator, where I learned to love helping people in conflict and in challenges. It was a bit of an evolving process. In the fire department, there was a time about 10 years ago, maybe 12, where there were a number of really negative events across the country, and there were some suicides. And it really shook the department to the core. And at that time, in my career early on, it was not okay to say, I'm not okay. And so people hid their challenges and their mental health struggles. About that same time as the department was being challenged, my own family, I became aware that in my own family of origin, people were struggling with serious mental illness and nobody was talking about it. And so it bothered me. And I realized that there's got to be some changes. A year or so later, I went back to school. I'd always wanted to go to grad school, and I enrolled at Bowie State, and I decided to study counseling. And so all the forces kind of came together. And I didn't really plan it out, but I fell in love with counseling, and I guess the rest will be history. In my free time, if you could look to my right or left, you'll see that I have a bookshelf that is active. And I love to read. I love to learn. In the front seat of my car this morning, I think there's 4 or 5 books, because I like to get a hot cup of coffee and sit in my truck and smoke a cigar. Oh, that's too much information, isn't it, Frank? But at any rate, I love to read. I like movement. So I go to the gym. I take a spin class. There's something about moving the body that I just find incredible. And I like being outside. I just like fresh air. And I'm learning also I'm getting back into music. I don't play an instrument currently. I'm thinking about taking one, but I'm just really exploring different genres of music and beginning to understand the relationship between music and our mental well-being and our mindset. So those are a few things I like to do. Well, yes, I do have a favorite place I've traveled to, and it's Jamaica. And it's because when I went there, I met someone 5 years ago who is now my wife. We got married last year, and she is still there. She's not here yet, and I'm still here. I'm not there yet. So that's to be continued. But the people of Jamaica, the culture of Jamaica, the food of Jamaica, the ambiance of Jamaica, I'm going to continue to travel. I have desires to really spend some time in South America. But Bob Marley and Jamaica has captured my heart and my soul. So that will always be my favorite place. Well, for the past 3 years, I have literally counseled whatever has walked through the door. And some of that is by virtue of the places that I have worked. I've worked at clinics. I've worked at a residential treatment facility. I've worked at a practice in Baltimore City, and I've had people with bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, marital problems, and trauma, childhood trauma. And I've come to really enjoy almost any struggle a person has. And what I really enjoy, I think this might be your question, I enjoy working with people who want to rebuild their self-esteem. And I enjoy working with people who ask for help and are open to trying new things. I find depression and anxiety so common and so debilitating that I enjoy working with those challenges. But I find that so many other issues and diagnoses really have some common underlying factors. And I really enjoy helping people in their relationship discoveries. Oftentimes, certain issues carry over or correlate to relationship problems and conflict and boundaries. So I don't know that I answered your question really well, but those are the clinical aspects that make me get out of bed very quickly in the morning. I am always going to be a CBT person, and cognitive behavioral therapy to me really means cognitive behavioral training. What is happening in our mind, and what is the disconnect between our mind and our behaviors, our mind and our action? And I think I'm really an eclectic counselor because I have used narrative therapy, exposure therapy, solution-focused therapy, DBT, Gestalt, and music therapy, play therapy. Whatever will help the client that I'm working with, I feel empowered and excited to use it. So I love many modalities, and I hope to get better at many more. Well, I guess I better be real here. I don't watch TV now. In fact, I haven't watched TV in probably a year, but that's a story for another day. But my favorite TV show of all time, which if I need a laugh or I'm feeling down, I will on YouTube watch The Big Bang Theory. I don't know if it's because I'm a nerd at heart. I have friends that are nerds. I don't know what it is, but that's my favorite TV show. Let me give you a couple of book recommendations. A few years ago, when I was really getting back into reading, I had a book on my bookshelf called The Gene, Gene, by Siddhartha Mukherjee. And it was hard and it was long. And it took me, I think, almost a year to get through the whole thing because I was reading it during grad school. But it was the story of the history of genetics. And it inspired me in a deep and powerful way, and it challenged me. So that book will remain on my bookshelf. The Gift of Therapy. Gosh, the name of the author escapes me now. Victor Yalom. I read that book 2 times. I might read it again. Atomic Habits by James Clear. The impact of small habits. And then I have a book called The History of Philosophy. And philosophy and counseling are so intertwined. It's amazing. So those are some of the standards on my bookshelf. I have a few others that I'm reading right now, currently. One that I read, I forget the name, is called I Love Me More. I read that in January. And it really inspired me to think about self-love and self-esteem. And particularly as men, we don't talk like that. We don't use those terms. How are you doing in your self-love? But that book really inspired me. So those are a few books I would recommend. Pizza. I could, if I was on a desert island and I could get pizza delivered, I don't care who it's from, Domino's, Pizza Hut, Costco, DiGiorno's, I don't care. Just get me a pizza and I'll be okay. Interestingly, I've worked with just about everybody. I stumbled into this year. Last year to this year, I stumbled into working with children. I didn't think I'd be good at it. And teenagers. I'm getting better. I enjoy working with teenagers. I find their issues to be really, they're very open and their issues are very real. I have enjoyed working with couples in relationship challenges. I've enjoyed working with people who find themselves struggling with depression and anxiety. But I've also stumbled into the LGBTQ community and transgender folks who are seeking to understand their gender expression. That has been very encouraging and enlightening to me. So those are some of the populations that I have found myself working with. If you are struggling with your mental health, first, just recognize that you are not alone. The statistics are pretty impressive that between 15 to 25% of the global population at some point in their life struggles. And I consider those numbers to be low because most people underreport. And the other thing is there are so many resources. If a person ever says to me, hey, can you refer me to someone, and they don't feel comfortable working with me, I'd be the first one to say, let's help you find somebody. There's somebody for you. And I think by virtue of reaching out, realize that you're exhibiting a marked degree of courage to pick up the phone, to send an email requesting help, to call your insurance company, to call, for example, the Larte Wellness Group, and to say, hey, how do I get started? That is courage, and it will pay off.